Hello, and welcome to Stories from the View, a podcast from the Pleasant View Senior Center in East Longmeadow, Massachusetts. On this podcast, we invite East Longmeadow people to tell us stories about their lives and events. And today's guest is Tammy Spencer. She is the director of the East Longmeadow Public Health Department. And your host today is Mary Jenowin Kaplan, and here's Mary.
Thank you, Eric. Good morning, Tammy. How are you?
Good morning, Mary and Eric. I am good. It's Friday.
It's Friday, and we are here today to hear your story from the View. Thank you so much for making time in your busy schedule. From what I've observed, the health department doesn't really have downtime.
No.
So we are glad you managed to escape your office and your many commitments, and you're here with us today to talk about your story. Now, in our very brief discussion before we started, I learned that health is kind of a lifelong passion for you. And so would you just tell our listeners now a little bit of your first foray into epidemiological stuff?
This is it's a silly story about chickenpox.
Okay.
This is obviously I was an 80s kid, so it was pre varicella vaccine. So back then there were two things: you either got chickenpox or you gave chickenpox to everybody else. And I had come down with chickenpox, and I was the first kid in our class to come down with it. And
outstanding even at a young age.
Yeah, you were patient zero. Yeah.
patient zero.
And how old were you then?
I believe it was 13.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Not the youngest age to get chickenpox, but I guess you want to have your kid had before then. That was back before the vaccine. And of course, the moms all got together, and everybody whose kid didn't get chickenpox was given like an article of bedding or clothing from my mother so that their kid would get chickenpox if they hadn't had it.
What?
Yeah.
Would you say that again? So you had chickenpox, nobody else did, and what happened?
And most of my class didn't have chickenpox. And so they either brought their kid over to my house or my mom shared like a pillow or something so that they would get chickenpox too. And then when I got better, we had to do a science project. My science project was basically an epidemiological investigation of how chickenpox had spread.
In your class?
Yeah, so that was how it had spread. I think there might have been maybe 6 or so kids who ended up getting it. But that was
pretty
my first
significant. You were, what, in 6th or 7th grade then? 8th grade, wow.
Yeah. So that was, but when I look back at it, I'm like, well, that's the first time I actually did public health was when I was looking over how the disease progressed. Because public health is, the short definition, is the prevention of the spread of disease. And so that was sort of the looking at the spread of disease. It was not prevented in that case because it was better to get it as a child than to get it as an adult or as a pregnant mother back then. But now we all have access to the varicella vaccine, although there are people choosing not to vaccinate their children, which it's one of the easiest ones to get because they still don't move around. They're just little babies at the time, and just get them vaccinated for it. It's so easy, just do it. But yeah, that was my sort of first experience in it. I also have a grandmother who was a nurse, and that was kind of listening to her talk about her stories in the hospital, and I loved that aspect of it, but I don't like the idea of, I guess, working with people in that fashion. Preventing disease on one end, but not seeing that sort of the hospital side of things.
Yeah, you didn't want to be white shoes on the ground.
Nope. Definitely not. Absolutely not. I'm a little squeamish. I'm a little squeamish for that, but as my job entails, not squeamish for most other things.
Oh, I can't wait to hear how this unfolds. Great. So you left, was it junior high then or middle school?
I went to Catholic school in Chicopee.
So it was grammar school.
It was
then.
grammar school, so that was 8th grade. It was, I think there was a total of 12 children that we all knew each other since we were probably 4 years old that we left, which is interesting times now that they're classrooms with 24 kids in them and they're jam-packed and, you can recognize every kid's handwriting basically when...
When they were, and you grew up with them.
Yeah, exactly. So that was kind of an interesting way to learn when you're a kid. But
To have a small group.
yeah,
And your interest in science or health sciences continued. And
Yeah.
so I'm guessing there's some college in there somewhere.
I have always fascinated with the sciences. I have a grandfather who was a secretary for Audubon Society when, like in the 60s, 70s. And so he was always big on kind of showing me rocks and birds and things outside. And our family, we've always gone fishing and hiking.
You're a
and
nature girl.
nature girl. A little more of a glamper than I would like to have running water, but
That's good.
my sister and I actually we every year for the Veterans Weekend we'll go up to our cabin in New Hampshire and do absolutely nothing other than hike and coloring books, which I know is not the most adult activity, but it's fine by me.
It's very fashionable now. Coloring is huge, and it's touted as a creativity, stress reducer.
Very
We have a coloring experience here at the senior center.
love it. I will gladly partake. But
She could be a celebrity colorer. We're gonna get this going.
let's make that happen. But just it's always sort of been the interesting thing that I would lean into. And my father worked with water pollution, and so I kind of had that experience from that end. Which I will also say that I am genetically predisposed to be a municipal employee, just based off of my family history. So.
The genealogical chart would show that, I'm sure. Yeah.
It certainly was. My mother was a paraprofessional. My father worked for a municipality. My grandfather also worked for a municipality. So my sister does. So we have a predisposition for municipal work.
Well, we are lucky to have you in our town here. So tell me, what's with this health thing? You aren't a nurse because you don't do that. Are you
I am a registered sanitarian, which most people immediately say, registered sanitarian, do you pick up trash? Which the answer isn't no.
okay?
But
Do you have a white hazmat suit?
I do have some, yes.
Just checking. Okay.
And I have been fitted for PAPR face masks in the past.
And
For the breathing
No
mask.
one except for you knows what that is. Okay, tell us a little more.
A partial something respirator.
Okay.
But my first, so I did go to school for environmental chemistry and toxicology, which is basically how does the environment make you sick?
And where did you do this?
UMass.
Amherst?
Amherst, yep.
Excellent. Okay.
UMass Amherst. And then after that, my first job was working in environmental health in Arizona. And I worked for the Maricopa County Environmental Health Services Department.
Wow.
Famously known, one of our fellow employees was Sheriff Joe Arpaio, which is kind
A
of
local guy?
very neat. Sometimes we would go bring our vehicles down to Tent City, and they would get serviced. So it was very interesting to see that sort of thing. But I specifically did air quality health inspections when I worked in Arizona, which was interesting, just to see how different it was out there than it is here. The amount of just how it would expand and build, and basically anytime you broke ground over there, you were exposing people to like a myriad of like dust, and there's bacteria in the ground. It was really interesting to do, and how it actually correlated with heart disease out in Arizona.
I was thinking Arizona's wild open spaces, and you'd be breathing in the fresh air and looking at the nice sunsets. You're telling me no?
No, there's a big bowl over it, a big brown bowl. Like this time of year, it starts usually I think November to April, and it's just very like the air pollution is pretty bad
Well, I was going to say in the Phoenix area.
in the Phoenix area.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
And-
always heard that.
But
yeah.
Phoenix now is so big.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not Phoenix. The portion that is congested is almost as big as Massachusetts. So it's a very
What an education for you then, as a
It was, especially so for me back then. I was looking for a job. This was 2001, and in order to interview someplace far away, you didn't have Zoom, so you had to do it over the telephone, which was really weird.
just voices. It was
Yes,
voices.
especially when you're when you're 22 years old and you don't really, you haven't had that much experience interviewing. And I had 2 interviews with the same department. Ironically, the first one that I didn't get was actually more specific to what I'm doing now, which was more like food related health inspections. And the second one was with the department for air quality. And I remember at the second interview, I had said, I was 4 people on the telephone and you're talking, and they would ask me something, and then I answered and I said, and that's my final answer. Do you remember, what was that show? I can't think of it.
Like
Yeah.
Password or something.
Yes.
It was a game show.
Yeah.
And everybody started laughing, and they said, I think you should come out here because that was funny.
Okay.
And I never even flew out there. I drove straight here from Chicopee.
You'd never seen where
Yep.
you were going to be. Yeah.
I thought it was going to be raising Arizona. I thought it was going to be the desert and a couple trailers. And I was so unprepared to come down the 17 from the Flagstaff area and just see how it was a metropolis. Especially like when you're from Western Mass. And it's like, okay, the speed limit's 75. And, like, wow, it was very different. But then it's wild too. Like there's, you can go out in the desert and be in the middle of nowhere. But that was it was interesting, and I liked it out there. I liked it so much that I left and I stole my husband from the Phoenix area and brought him.
Oh, you
Back
found
here.
love. Nice.
Yes, but I didn't like it enough to stay there. I like seasons, We get our seasons.
And he must have liked you because he left that and came here.
Absolutely. But it was really interesting, and what I liked the most, which didn't happen enough when I was out there about the job, was when we would get phone calls, which I don't think anyone would ever say this out loud about jobs here nowadays. I loved getting complaints and trying to help people figure out how to solve the problems with the complaints. And that's when I was saying, like, I really liked the job, but 99% of the time it was just kind of going out and checking in on
The air.
and the sites.
There was a lot of air.
A lot of the air. But then I really liked it when I was able to help people solve their problems. And someone said, oh, you'd probably like public health a lot. You'd probably like that a lot better than this aspect of
Environmental.
health.
Yeah.
Which environmental health is a part of public health, but it's sort of seen in a little different light. So that was when I was like, well, okay, I think I did that I was an inspector there for 4 years, and then I decided to go and get my master's in public health. And I came back to Massachusetts and back to UMass. And I really liked the program at UMass. And we were just talking about in the office that pretty much anybody in Massachusetts who's got a master's of public health got it at UMass Amherst. Our inspector Alex also has one too. But it's nice. It was a nice program because a lot of people who worked in public health at the time liked to give back to the college, to take on interns, and when I was there, I was able to actually intern with a couple different health departments and sort of see how the inspections and how those processes were done, which I liked. And it was kind of fun because I interned when I was there. I interned with Amherst, and then I interned with Southwick. And when I graduated, I took a job as a health inspector in Chicopee, which was like fantastic.
That was your home territory.
It was my home territory. It was so good. And I was an inspector in Chicopee for, I think it was 12 years. And then I left, and on January 2nd, 2020, I became the health director for Southwick, which was really interesting to go back and actually see some of my things that I did in the cabinet. Like, this handwriting looks really familiar. Oh, it's mine.
It's like going full circle.
Yes, but if you recall the date, January 2nd, 2020.
Yeah, that was a year, huh?
Yes.
Oh, a great year for public health.
Yes.
Not really.
And
yeah.
especially someone going from being an inspector for, I think at that point it was maybe inspector for 18 years or so. Going from that to having your own little department of, well, it was really just like 1.5 people. And then having to figure out COVID was really stressful, especially when nobody really knew you yet. And
Yeah, you didn't have a firm foundation or...
Yeah, very, it was interesting. I stuck with it. There were a lot of people who were leaving this profession in that time frame. But I don't know, like, I love problem solving. And
that was a heck of a big
problem to solve.
I had to edit my words there for a minute, but yeah.
And none of the businesses or organizations knew who I was because the person that had the job before me, I think, had it for almost 30 years. So I was a different face. So I just remember when the orders first came from the governor's office and nobody could really understand them. I put on my mask, and I like to say I made gifts. So I made people little signs and little handouts to understand it, and just kind of went knocking to all the businesses. You don't know me. I'm your new health agent. I'm not 100% sure what we're doing about this COVID, but these are the things I know. And this is my card. And when things get confusing, call me up. We'll figure it out when things open back up. It was very, to say the least, the problem solving was very interesting to be able to navigate through that. But we're still here.
And what a way to integrate into the community.
Yep, trial by fire and and sanitizer.
And how long did you stay in Southwick, if that was 2020?
I stayed there for 2 years. And
So through the I don't want to say the worst of it, but the
yes,
yeah,
the
because
worst
it's
of
the
it.
most confusing part.
And then I received a phone call from the former health director here, Amy Petrosky, and she said she was going to the state. And she said that she was thinking of people who she would like to see come to the town. And she said that she thought I would be a good fit. And I remember talking to the previous town manager, Mary McNally, and just about, I want to say my general vibe. And Mary was like, yeah, I think you'd be a good fit. And I don't regret it.
It was a good move.
I think it was a good move.
A slightly larger community than Southwick,
Yeah, a little bit larger, I think from 10,000 to
and
16.
a different vibe here too. Southwick's a lovely community, but East Long Meadow's different.
No, the communities, it's funny because the communities were so different but so the same. They're like,
Nice people.
yeah, exactly. I think with that, maybe with the size of the town and the type of town administration for both of them, very similar. But also the drive to Southwick was a little different than the drive to coming to East Long Meadow.
And I find that sometimes little easier things like that can make a difference, can work on your quality of life a bit.
Yes, and I have a middle schooler So having the extra time before and at the end of the day, not driving, is definitely very important. Kind of having that easy access to getting to the highway and getting home, and definitely very important. And I think working here too, there's a very like sort of family friendly kind of like everybody understands, like there's, you've got your priorities at work and you've got your priorities with your family, and they're very understanding with that too. And I think that's what kind of makes working at town hall a really great place to work. That, and besides, we're just all amazing and funny. And
Our last podcast was with Audra and Jamie.
oh boy,
Brooke.
that had to have been fun.
Well, and it was Halloween, so they were in costume, which I don't even
Yes.
have to describe, but I think it's good to hear that our town is a good place to work. It's folks are verbalizing that this is part of the reason good people are here.
Yeah, it is. It feels a lot like family. We kind of all care about each other. And, at any given moment, any department can kind of just, I'm having a problem with this. And we will all kind of get together. What if we did this? Or what if we did that? Which I feel like brain power is free. We don't need to put that as a line item in the budget. Like, let's get the think tank together and figure out how we're going to solve a big problem. And also, I love that, nobody feels like that what's going on in their department is proprietary and wants to hold it like a secret from everybody, which in other towns I've worked in, it's this stays in this department and that stays in that department. And
Silos.
the silos
That's
of
an
excellence.
old word,
yes,
but yeah.
exactly. Whereas we're here, we're sharing that information, and even if it, once we start talking and chatting, and we find out like I went and bought accidentally with COVID money, 300 orange safety cones. I thought they were 4 to a pack, and they ended up being 20 to a pack.
300 safety cones.
Yes, they pop up and they're lovely. I love them for our COVID clinics.
But you have 300 of them.
300 of them. Another department said, "Gosh, where did you get those? I wish that we had those. We could really use them for events." Well, guess what? I'm glad you brought that up.
You like gifts. You like gifts.
Because you can have the rest of them. But those are the things that when we get together, we start talking and kind of try to figure, easy ways to get stuff done, things that don't cost us anything and are free, which nothing's getting cheaper. I know. I go on the forums. So those are like the little things that I think having those relationships really helps. And maybe people don't get to see that they don't get to see that from the outside, but I think it helps a lot.
As a self-identified problem solver, it's as if you have an army to work with to accomplish your goals of problem solving. And perhaps the folks in town don't see how it happens, but I think we absolutely see positive results from time to time.
Oh,
And
for sure.
That's priceless, absolutely priceless.
I think one of the instances that has been coming up a lot lately is we have a senior watch group, and it brings together all the departments, fire.
Yeah, talk about what that is, because folks don't know.
Folks don't know. Yeah, so they get together once a month. Fire, police, sheriff's office. We have social worker, council on aging, health department, our housing authority. I'm sure I'm missing other people, but before we were doing this, if say health department went on an inspection and we had a hoarding issue, we were kind of in a little, we were in a bubble of our own. But then we'd get the social worker there, the council on aging helping with services, Greater Springfield Senior Services, that sort of thing. Once we started talking about how can we do this and how can we help these people in a more natural way and an easy way, because these are people who might be a little nervous about letting strangers into their lives, but these are people who work for their community. We're not getting somebody from out of town to come in and do these things. We're kind of helping, and we've seen, people have offered their spare time to help people fix things, and because we had some people who had like stairs that were broken that couldn't get in and out of their house. We actually this week we're having the same issue of somebody who had to have their water turned off. What can we all do? What can we figure out so that we can get this resident's water, get their issue fixed, to get that turned back on? So those are kind of nice ways that we get together and try to solve these things, because I think the last thing we really want is for someone who can live in their home to not be able to live in their home. And I think we can find easy ways to do that. And a lot of people don't, they see the health department as somebody who comes in and condemns their house or, gives them an order to correct. But I think if you're doing it right, it's a tool to help somebody get the things that they need, especially if they can't, they don't see that there's a problem themselves. But then,
And they're just doing their very best. It maybe isn't the way I would do it, or it isn't great, but it's the best they can do. And you're offering a helping hand?
and and I've worked with other peers, or heard from other peers of how, they feel like their job ends when they send the letter out in the mail or they sign off the, bottom of an inspection report. But I think the sign of a good health department is that not only are you telling people, okay, so we've got this guidelines to go by and we've got these regulations to go by, you're telling them also, these are some ways that, we've found that people can achieve this goal successfully, maybe with less a financial burden to you, that sort of thing. So we have a very good philosophy of, sticking with a case until it is completely done, not just on paper, but is this person's life better for it? So I think that's probably one of the most satisfying parts of the job. I think anybody in public health will tell you, like,
What
changing someone's life.
Valuable message, though, because so many times as we age, when we see that we're slipping, we're afraid we're going to be sent somewhere. And so we might hide our troubles, and to know that that isn't necessarily the outcome is very positive. And it might make me feel more confident if I knew someone in trouble to suggest they call for help, because I don't want to be the one evicting, causing the eviction or whatever.
It is probably the hardest area of public health is the housing area, because it's where you live. Not as hard to tell somebody they have to fix their dishwasher or their refrigerator isn't running, because it's part of, they elect it as part of as their career, their life path. But when you're in someone's house and it's like, well, you do need to have hot water for this to be considered a safe and hygienic house. You do need to have heat for this to be considered minimal standards for human habitation. And it's hard when someone says, well, I can put more blankets on. Well, if you don't have heat in your house, then your pipes freeze, and then they have to shut off your water. And so those are the things. It's hard to kind of get into some people's heads to do that for their safety and for the fact that, if, say, it was a hoarding issue, and your house isn't safe for EMS to come into, now you're putting other people at danger. But when working with the senior center and Greater Springfield Services, you can get a chore worker to come help you and clean up and help you with maintenance and upkeep. And I think a lot of people don't realize that those are options that are available to them.
And every single person who has a home knows, or even renters, that something's going to break and things wear out. And it always happens at the most inconvenient time.
When it's the coldest or the hottest or...
Like the fire alarm, the smoke detector going off at 2 a.m. Why does it not do that at 10 a.m.? I don't know.
Or when I'm cooking.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we know why it does that.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like those are, when we're saying like we love problem solving, and I was explaining my entire day yesterday at dinner time to my husband and my son, and they both were like, "Oh, that doesn't sound like fun." I'm like, "Well, actually, it is fun. Like it in a way. It's not enjoyable to see people suffer, but it is. You get enjoyment in helping them get out of it, get to the other end of it, and we all have we're all allowed to complain about our day, but we can still say that just because we're complaining doesn't mean we didn't enjoy it.
So what else is happening with the health department? What are you doing during this cold and flu season?
This has been a very busy cold and flu season, or respiratory virus season, as we like to call it now. We are seeing still quite a bit of cases of COVID. I want to say that we checked yesterday and we saw 20 new cases. I don't know if it was from this week or from the last 2 weeks.
But 20 sounds like a significant number in
that
a
meant 20
population of 17,000.
That meant that 20 people were sick enough that they went to the doctors. But there's plenty of people who either suffer in silence or weren't didn't need to test or tested at home, which is fine. I think it's a good tool to have. We're still trying to figure out how to get new test kits for everybody, but now there's no federal funding for them, and they're not cheap. But if you have them, use them. Even if they're expired, they're still a good tool because I've heard plenty of people say, yeah, they still came out positive, and staying home. But the message is still the same for respiratory virus season. If you're sick and you have a fever, stay home. Don't bring it to everybody else and give it to them.
Don't pass out your pillows and articles of clothing to contaminate others.
This is a different
This is not a field trip.
From
a field test.
1989. But yes, exactly. But that's when we hear people, well, what are we supposed to do if we have this? Or it's pretty much, we've made it very simple across the board. If you're sick, stay home. If you have a fever, make sure that your fever has resolved for 24 hours without fever-reducing drugs. And then if you're all snotty, and make sure you wear a mask and wash your hands. Same stuff we've been saying all along. Make sure, keep a barrier between you and everybody else with all the particles that might escape. And also making sure that you're up to date on all of your vaccinations. We've had a lot of success this fall with our flu and our COVID vaccine clinics. We've had a couple hundred people come through.
Are those done now, or?
They are for right now. We'll probably try to look and see if we can fit a few other ones in because we've been hearing from the public that they'd love to see some RSV vaccine clinics. And pneumococcal vaccine. So it would be nice to be able to maybe in December see if we can get some to be done here at the senior center. But it's still not too late if you haven't been vaccinated for this respiratory virus season. It's not going to keep you from getting the flu. It's not going to keep you from getting COVID, but it's going to keep you out of the hospital. And that is when there's hardly any beds to spare at the hospital as it is. Yes, staying at home with a little Mucinex or something like that is more preferable than to have to be on a ventilator. And washing your hands. I'm not a big fan of hand sanitizer. Hot water.
Hot water, soap.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday twice.
Yes.
Can you give us a different song?
I'll have to come up with one that is 20 seconds
I
long.
thought it was the alphabet, too.
The alphabet.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
okay.
That's the other alternative.
That would help.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can do Twinkle Twinkle Little Star twice, too.
Oh.
I think so.
Excellent. Tammy, what else? Is there anything else we need to know?
Let's see.
There's so much you're doing.
There's so much we're doing. We just received our annual reward for our recycling dividends, which means that when we do a certain amount of items off of the state's list for decreasing the amount of trash we put in the landfill, they give us points towards funding.
Is that the blue bins? Or no? Is that something else?
Beyond the blue bins.
Beyond the blue bins. Who knew?
Yes. So some of the things like we're doing here over at the senior center, our recycling coordinator Liz Bones has hooked up the senior center and the schools with Commonwealth Sustainabilities, who does, or actually they're called Banana now, who does a composting of food waste.
I know we have volunteers who sort things. I'm guessing that's Liz's core.
Yeah, I want to say that we've actually eliminated, I think she just said it was 47,000 pounds this year of food waste going into landfills. So one of the things we're trying to hope to do is we can establish a residential. We do have people who do it privately, but we would love to do a pilot program for that, because I have a feeling coming down the road that the state's going to put more limits on what we can put in our trash cans. And one of them is probably going to be food. So.
We're very fortunate here. Our chef is excellent. I'm
Yes.
sure there's very little food waste. We gobble it right up.
And great health inspections, too.
And wonderful health inspections, yes.
So we've been working a lot on trying to find ways to increase our dividends, because that helps us pay for the programs that we bring to the residents, like our hazardous waste take back days, which that was I think they said over 2,000 pounds of 2,000 gallons of hazardous materials,
So
among
that's
other things.
old paint and turpentine and
Yes.
other.
Sticky things.
So if we're very good at recycling, it pays basically. So the state sees, oh, they're doing these things, we'll give them money to do even more of those things.
Excellent.
Yes, like the lithium battery take back at the fire station, because we were getting people putting them in their trash, and when the lithium battery gets wet, it starts to smoke, and we've had a couple of the trash haulers having to stop and pull over and pull them out of the back of their truck.
Oh.
Yes, so which could have been scary.
And now there's textile recycling.
Yeah.
This is getting a little confusing here. But so there is a drop off at the fire station.
There is.
For textiles. So if something isn't really Goodwill, Heart Springs worthy, it should be dumped there.
If as long as it's not covered in, I think, oil and grease, a textile can be brought there. It might not be reused as it is, but it will be recycled into another material.
Aha.
We also, on the second Saturday of the month outside of Town Hall, Heart Springs brings the truck. And you can get rid of household supplies other than textiles there too, which is really good. And let's see, anything else going on? It's just a busy time of year. This is the sort of time of year where we're transitioning. It's the end of the year. All of our permitting kind of is cycling through, so we get on everybody. This is when they probably don't want to hear from us. Going online, we have a lovely online e-permitting portal that is actually, once you've signed in, it saves everything for you.
So this is for businesses and
Yes. Which I believe also Clerks does it for dog licenses too. It makes it really easy. So it's a nice thing to have. It makes it very simple and very easy for businesses or for just people doing something for like a one-day event or a temporary event to just go online. I tried to make it as simple and easy and painless as possible because I feel deterrents to businesses don't help us do our job. So if we can make it easy on a business to at least get over that hoop, then I think it makes it easier on us when we come in and need them, to change something or do something that we know we're asking for reasonable things, not unreasonable things. So I like it.
Tammy, it sounds as if customer service and working with the community is a huge component of the philosophy of our health department. And it just sounds great to me. Do you have any parting words, closing remarks, or you can just say, no, it's fine?
No, I think that I want everyone to see us as a resource. And if you have a question, stop by or call us or email us. I feel like there really are no stupid questions, and it serves you better to just use us as a resource. We're getting paid for it. Call us. Do you want us to come look at something wonky? We will.
Ooh.
that sort of
Well,
thing.
that gives you something to think about.
But call us. I feel we're already, we're getting paid for our time. We are a resource for people. Don't know how to throw out that rug? Call us up. Don't know what to do with this expired chicken bouillon in your refrigerator? It's not a silly question. Just call us up. We'll figure it out for you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, it was great to meet you, Tammy. Yeah, thank you so much for being here today. That's Tammy Spencer, who is the Director of Public Health here in East Longmeadow, on Stories from the View today, and the podcast is available on the LCAT 01028 channel on YouTube and on Spotify. If you have a story you'd like to share on the program, contact the Pleasant View Senior Center by stopping by or by calling us at 525-5436. And thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time on Stories from the View.